the dreams that you dream of, the dreams that you dream of.
The girl stood near the edge of the small open square, her feet barely touching the ground as she rocked gently from side to side. Her dress was simple and slightly faded, the kind that had been washed too many times but carefully kept clean. Dust clung to the hem, and her tiny fingers were curled nervously around a small microphone that looked almost too big for her hands. People passing by hardly noticed her at first. Some were busy with their phones, others with their own worries. A violin melody floated in the air, soft and warm, played by Karolina Protsenko a few steps behind her. The sound was gentle, almost like a whisper, inviting anyone nearby to slow down and listen. The girl was only 4 years old. Her hair was tied back unevenly, as if someone had tried their best without a mirror. Her eyes were wide and serious, holding a depth that didn't match her age. Life had already taught her things no child should have to learn so early. She came from a poor family, one that struggled every day just to get by. Nights were often cold, meals were sometimes skipped, and toys were rare. But one thing she always had was a song in her heart. Her mother used to sing to her when the lights were off and the world felt too heavy. Those songs became her comfort, her shelter, her prayer. As Karolina's violin filled the space, the girl took a small breath. It was shaky at first, like she wasn't sure if the world was ready to hear her. Then she began to sing. Her voice came out soft, fragile, almost trembling. But there was something in it that made people stop. It wasn't loud, it wasn't polished, it was pure. The words of goodness of God flowed from her lips with an innocence that made them feel new again. She sang as if she believed every word with her whole soul. A man walking his dog slowed his steps. A woman with shopping bags paused, one hand covering her mouth. A couple sitting on a nearby bench turned toward the sound, their conversation fading into silence. The girl's voice rose slightly, still gentle, but steady now. She wasn't performing, she was praying out loud. Each word seemed to carry the weight of her small life, the nights without enough food, the mornings when she watched her parents worry, the moments when hope was all she had left. Karolina watched her carefully, matching her voice with the violin, never overpowering it. The music wrapped around the child singing like a warm blanket. The crowd slowly grew. People stood closer, drawn by something they couldn't explain. Some took out their phones, not to scroll, but to record, sensing that this moment mattered. The girl closed her eyes for a second, her eyebrows tightening with emotion far beyond her years. When she opened them again, they glistened. Her voice cracked slightly on one line, and a hush fell over the crowd. No one laughed, no one judged. That tiny crack made it even more real. A woman in the front wiped tears from her cheeks. A strong-looking man with folded arms swallowed hard, his jaw trembling. The song spoke of goodness, of faithfulness, of never-ending love, and coming from such a small child, it felt like the truth spoken by someone who had already seen both pain and grace. The girl shifted her weight, gripping the microphone tighter as if it were the only thing keeping her grounded. Her voice grew a little stronger with each line. Confidence didn't come from practice or training. It came from belief. She believed in the words she was singing. She believed that goodness could exist even when life was unfair. That belief poured out of her and into the hearts of everyone listening. A few people began to cry openly now. Tears rolled down cheeks without shame. One elderly woman clasped her hands together as if in prayer. A young boy tugged at his mother's sleeve, whispering that the girl sounded like an angel. The air felt heavy and light at the same time, full of emotion yet peaceful. Even the city noise seemed to fade, as if the world itself was listening. The girl reached the chorus, and her small voice lifted just enough to carry over the violin. It wasn't powerful in the usual sense, but it was honest. Every word landed softly, then stayed. You could feel it settling in your chest. The crowd stood completely still, afraid that even a breath might break the moment. Karolina's eyes shone as she played, her bow moving with care, following the child's pace, letting her lead. As the song continued, the girl's fear melted away. She wasn't nervous anymore. She was present. She was free. She sang like someone who had nothing to prove and everything to give. Her face relaxed, and a small, shy smile appeared at the corner of her lips between lines. It was the kind of smile that comes from feeling safe, from being heard. When the first part of the song came to a gentle pause, there was a silence so deep it felt sacred. No one clapped. No one spoke. The girl took another breath, unaware of the tears, unaware of the impact she had already made. She simply continued, stepping forward into the next part of the song as if guided by something unseen. Her voice now carried a quiet strength. The words about being held, about being led through fire and darkness, sounded different coming from her. They sounded like a testimony. People looked at her not just as a child, but as a messenger. Someone whispered that this was the most beautiful thing they had ever heard. Another person nodded, unable to speak. The second half of the song unfolded slowly. The girl's voice rose and fell like a soft wave. She didn't rush. She didn't strain. She let the words breathe. Karolina's violin echoed every emotion, sometimes weeping, sometimes comforting. The two created something magical together, a bridge between innocence and experience, between struggle and hope. Tears continued to fall in the crowd. A woman dropped to one knee, overcome. A man held his partner's hand tightly, both of them crying now. It wasn't just a song anymore. It was a reminder that goodness could be found in the smallest voices, that faith didn't need age or wealth, that beauty could rise from poverty and pain. The girl's voice grew softer toward the end, like a candle flickering gently rather than burning out. She looked around at the faces staring back at her, confused by the tears but feeling the love. Her eyes widened slightly, and for a moment she almost stopped, unsure. Karolina gave her a small nod, a silent encouragement. The girl continued. On the final lines, her voice trembled again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was emotion. Real, raw emotion. The last note lingered in the air, carried by the violin, then slowly faded. The girl lowered the microphone, her chest rising and falling quickly. She looked up, blinking, as if waking from a dream. For a heartbeat, there was complete silence. Then the crowd erupted. Applause burst out, loud and full, mixed with sobs and cheers. People clapped above their heads, some shouting words of praise, others simply crying. The sound wrapped around the girl, startling her. She flinched slightly, then smiled, a big, bright smile that lit up her whole face. Karolina stepped forward and knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. The girl leaned into her instinctively, comforted. The crowd continued to clap, some people chanting softly, others wiping their faces. Phones were lowered now, forgotten, as everyone stayed present in the moment. The girl waved shyly, her smile turning bashful. She didn't fully understand why everyone was crying, why they were clapping so hard. She only knew that she had sung from her heart. That was enough. Karolina hugged her briefly, whispering something into her ear that made her nod. As the crowd slowly began to disperse, many people stepped forward to thank her, to tell her how she made them feel. Some knelt to her level, speaking gently. Others pressed small bills into Karolina's case, not as charity, but as gratitude. A few simply stood there, hands over their hearts, trying to process what they had just witnessed. The girl looked up at the sky for a moment, then back at the people around her. In her small world, nothing had changed. Life would still be hard. But something was different. She had given hope, and in return, she had received love. A simple exchange, powerful enough to move strangers to tears. Long after the music stopped, the feeling remained. People walked away changed, carrying her voice with them. And the girl, still holding the microphone, hummed softly to herself, unaware that her song would travel far beyond that small square, touching hearts she would never see, reminding the world that even the smallest voice can carry the greatest truth.